A wonderful day, Philippines! This is Sta Romana, where the truth is our priority. We give justice to your curiosity.
And this is Samson, serving every Filipino the latest news spotted only here on G News.
The center of the eye of Super Typhoon Henry was estimated at 530 kilometers east-northeast of Itbayat, Batanes.
Proclamation number 444, Series 1965, declaring September 2 as a memorable public holiday in Vheejhay and Cabanatuan City.
Several videos went viral after netizens posted a series of TikTok videos relating to issues in technical writing. Although it may seem entertaining to some, it draws the attention of professionals.
Are these TikTok videos really alarming? Are Filipinos really left behind in knowledge about technical writing? Let's watch these videos.
Today was the worst, Char. So nagising tayo ng maaga para mag-check ng inbox kung nag-message na ba yung company na pinag-applyan ko. So hindi tayo magiging tulala for today's video. At nag-message na nga sila, Miss Heart. Kaya lang, Miss Heart, hindi ako marunong gumawa ng formal email. Char, but I will do my best because I believe this job is meant for me. Isip-isip pa, pare matalino. For the kamot ng ulo ang person. After 5 million years, ako'y tapos na. Kaya naman, let's go. And we're done. Sana next time may magturo na sa akin gumawa. Yun lang, tapos na.
Me after posting that one TikTok vid of my brochure for my new gifted comment.
Ano behave mga NG brochure.
Mga mare, magluluto sana ako ng adobo kasi paborito yun ng mister ko. Ang kaso nga, nung nag-request siya na lagyan ko ng pinya, nag-search ako ngayon sa internet. Ngayon naman, itong mga nakita kong instructions sa internet, napakagugulo, hindi ko maintindihan. Ang lalalim ng mga salita, pinya lang naman sana yung idadagdag ko. Ano ba to? Hindi ko na talaga alam kung anong gagawin ko. Gusto ko lang naman maging mabuting ina. So sana, matulungan niyo ako sa problema ko na to. Salamat.
So hello guys, ayan nakita ko tong comment ni ate sa isa kong video. Sabi niya, Mare, kamusta naman yung pinuntahan mong seminar? So actually guys, kakauwi ko lang. And to answer this question, I really like the topic of the seminar. It's just that hindi ko nagustuhan yung PowerPoint presentation nila. So comment down below guys kung ako lang ba or kayo din yung nahihilo or nahihirapang tignan yung isang PowerPoint presentation kapag masyado siyang over-design. And also kapag masyadong madaming text ang nasa isang slide, 'di ba? Ang crowded niya tignan. Pero syempre hindi naman tayo expert sa paggawa ng mga ganyan-ganyan, no? Kaya mag-comment kayo guys kung ano yung reaction nyo or kung may na-experience din ba kayong ganun. So yun lang. Time na para magpahinga. So I'll see you guys on my next video. Adios!
Kate, I am really shocked because people nowadays don't even know how to create a simple brochure. Some are exposed to gadgets and they don't even remember how to create a formal one. It is alarming indeed.
Exactly, Simon. For me personally, highfalutin words are kind of acceptable because we are Filipinos and not everyone is exposed to the English language every day.
That is why the next generation of writers volunteer to provide a live broadcast only here on G News entitled English Bootcamp, The Craft of Technical Writing.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Whatever time you may possibly watch our academic video, welcome to the part of our webinar presentation where we deliver generous amount of knowledge, especially about the technicalities of different types of writing. Take your pen and paper out and be ready to be watered with spring of wisdom.
So, good day, everyone. To formally start our discussion, let me just explain first what is technical writing. So, technical writing is a kind of writing where the author discusses a specific topic that calls for guidance, instruction, or explanation. So, from the word technical itself, these are the kind of writing that requires deep understanding, for it is very technical. So, as what it is, technical writing is like making complex material accessible to readers in a way that they can comprehend and use even if they are very unfamiliar with the topic. So in a professional setting, it is the act of writing and disseminating technical information. So it frequently entails difficult concepts and could offer instructions and sophisticated information to a particular audience who will utilize to carry out some task or purpose. So in addition, a vital instrument for delivering thoughts, opinions, observation, directions, and suggestions in a more logical and technical way is technical writing. So technical writing is a form of communication that professionals use to convey information about specialized topics. So it is because technical writing is a writing or drafting technical communication that can be used in technical and occupational fields such as IT, architecture, engineering, chemistry, biology, aeronautics, medical, and other field of study. Next page, please. So here, the figure flashed in the screen is the principles of technical writing. I'm going to discuss it one by one. So first is the audience. So in order to write a technical paper, of course, it is very important to know who will be the audience, their background, language, education, and familiarity with the subject matter. Next is the layout. So technical writing can be used in different kinds of or types of paper as we're going to tackle later, such as brochure, presentation, letters, and so on. Therefore, the layout is very important, like the spaces, usability, and readability of the design and all the rest. Then, there is also the structure. It focuses on the organization, flow of the writing in a more logical way, and how easy the documents to be navigate. So after, another principle of the technical writing is the content. Of course, is the content relevant or is it easy to understand? In technical writing, you should avoid redundancy, contradiction, grammar, and spelling errors, and should maintain the consistency on how the paper was written. So of course, technical writing should be written concisely, clearly, and effectively in order for the information to be delivered correctly. So lastly is the purpose. What is the technical writing for? Is it for instructing, communication, arguing? Also, what type of document will this be? It can be a forgiving procedure or a standard policy and technical paper as it is. That is all for the principles of technical writing. Next page, please. So here is the role of technical writers. So technical writers must have a certain skills in order to perform their job or duties, which may include research and writing. Although technical writing differs depending on the industry and expertise, they have or they serve similar functions. So the following are the roles of technical writers in the workplace. First is to create technical documentation. Since many of the documents needs to be technical, the role of the technical writer is to write a documentation or write a document or a paper that is, of course, relevant to the idea. So technical writers will be more efficient to write technical document because they are more aware of the technical terms used in the field, like in medicine or medical, as what I've said earlier. Next is to integrate guides and instructions. Since technical writers can understand more technical terms, it is their role to integrate instructions that is easy to understand for the target audience. Of course, the role of technical writers is to disseminate information so it can be understood by who are the desired audience or who are the target audience. So another role is to understand and disseminate technical information. So like what I've said earlier, the role of technical writers is to make the target audience understand the information by disseminating technical terms into easy to understand document or paper. And lastly, is it on the slide or not? I'm just going to mention the last rule, which it isn't on the slide. So lastly is inferring data. So technical writers should know how to read the data. Of course, if you're going to work in a company or in different field, technical writers should, as a technical writers, you should know how to read the data and make a conclusion about it. So that's all for few info about technical writing. So here's Miss Pallanan to give us more.
Thank you very much, Ms. Parica, for your wonderful insights. Let us now move on discussing the very first topic of our webinar, the sales letter. So what is a sales letter? So sales letter is a form of direct mail in which an advertiser sends a letter to a potential customer. So sales letter can also be one of the most effective marketing tools as it allows us to speak one-on-one on potential consumers and buyers. So sales letter functions as a salesman. Why? Because it educates, it persuades, and it convinces potential buyers to avail a certain product or service wherever a salesman cannot visit a customer. Next slide, please. Okay, so in order for a sales letter to be effective and efficient, we must take note about the 4 A's of writing it. So we have the attention, the appeal, the application, and of course, the action. So first, you must get the attention of the reader. Second, your product must have its appeal. So you must highlight it in your sales letter. And then third, you must also show the application of your product. And fourth, you must have the reader to take action and purchase your product. Next slide, please. So of course, even in this digital age, if you know how to write a sales letter, you can turn prospects into potential buyers. And you can connect with a wider range of people by developing this skill. So of course, how can we write a sales letter? So here are the following directions. First, you must identify your target audience. Always remember that if you don't know who you're selling to, you don't know how to sell to them. So it is important that you understand who is going to buy your product and who you're sending your letters to. Because if you know this technique, therefore, you'll know their demands and how you are going to ask them to buy your product. Second is to know your customer by name. So this is quite in line with our first bullet because a sales letter that states, "Dearest Dar's address," sells a lot more lead than a letter that states, "Dear potential customers," or "Dear Ma'am and Sir," right? Okay, third is we have write a powerful, engaging headline. So a 100-point headline in bold, red font still has to be written well, or your potential customer will stop reading it. You can make it stand out by centering it, making it in the front page, or writing it in bold or bright color. Fourth is to craft an intriguing introduction. So remember that in writing an introduction, this is a very crucial part because you can either make or break a chance of potential buy. So of course, you better make it count. So your intro may consist of a question, or you can also post a problem scenario where your product would be the answer. And in writing an introduction based on a question, you must avoid a yes or no question because, of course, if the reader would only answer no, they will stop reading your sales letter and your letter will go in the trash can. So fifth, you should constantly be connecting with the customer. Of course, you must connect to your potential customer as often as you can by using a personal and friendly tone. Use the same tone throughout your sales letter as if you are friends with the reader itself. Because a sales letter that says as if you are friends with each other sells a lot more than a sales letter as that portrays a company asking a specific reader to buy something from them. Next slide, please. Of course, we also have pose a problem, but always give the solution. So think about this. How will your customers think or know that they need the product you are selling to if they don't know that they have a problem that you can fix using it? Of course, you should write your letter from the customer's viewpoint and make them think that they cannot live with the product you are selling them. Next, state the features and benefits again and again. So you've already given them the problem and you've also provided them with the solution. Now is the time that you must continue to repeat telling them about the features and the benefits of your product, like how that product will directly help them. Why is your product better than any others? So you must also consider that. Next, use bullet points for easy comprehension. So always take note about the keep it simple philosophy. So instead of using long, boring sentences, you should only use bullet points. Of course, you must also offer an incentive to help close the sale. You can use a no risk obligation, you can send them a special gift, or you can also offer them a free trial because that offers would help the readers to generate an interest towards your sales letter. And then of course, last but definitely not the least is don't forget to add a PS. So a PS is a golden nugget to your sales letter because lots of the readers only seem to skim your letter and they will only go directly to the PS. And if your PS is interesting and strong enough, maybe you may attract the reader to read the whole sales letter even if they don't want to do so. So that would be all for my part. Let us now move on to the next presenter.
Okay, so thank you, Ms. Pallanan, for that introduction of the letters we are going to discuss today. So let us now proceed to the next technical writing paper that we have, which is the letters of inquiry. So let us first define what is inquiry. So I know some may already know what inquiry is, but of course, let us still discuss it. Inquiry, or also the inquiry, is synonymous to the word question. From that, we can formulate that it is related to asking. So yes, inquiry is an act of asking for information, asking for something that you don't know or you are curious of. You are seeking for some details through questioning. That is inquiry. So combining both the letter and inquiry, we then have the letters of inquiry. Next slide, please. Okay, so letters of inquiry. This is about asking for a specific information to a person or a business or a shareholder through a letter. So it doesn't need to be written. Since we have technologies, we can make use of the electronic email or the electronic letter. However, we should still ensure that our letter is well written with proper citations and contains the specific information you are looking for. So as stated in my presentation, at the last bullet, before sending your inquiry, you should be certain that the information is not available through other means. Meaning, if you send a letter of inquiry, make sure that you are asking a question that is not indicated on their website or is not obvious. The internet is a wide source of information. Might as well make it a habit by browsing verified information through the internet before making your inquiry. So moving on, next slide please. Okay, so as we create an inquiry letter, it is important that we follow a particular format. So here are the components of an inquiry letter. So this is the very basic. So first, we must establish an introduction. So this is where the basic information of who, what, and why is located. This is the part where you will introduce yourself and provide your statement of the purpose. Second, we have the body. It is where we provide the things that we need for the recipient or the questions we need for the recipient. So what are the specific information needed? And lastly, the conclusion part contains the gratitude, your permissions, as well as your contact number for the recipient's responses. Okay, so to the next slide. Let us now talk about the do's and don'ts in formulating an inquiry letter. So this is very important, so please take note of this. First, address your letter to a specific person, because if not, there is a possibility that the letter won't be sent to the specific person you are aiming to communicate with. But if you have no idea who to write, you may call the company and ask to whom you should refer the letter. Second, it is best to send your original signed copy of your letter. If through an email, it is best if you indicate your name below and if possible, your position in the company you are working on. And if also possible, paste your electronic signature in your email. Third, do not use a generic inquiry letter. So what does this mean? This means that you have to tailor your specific purpose in the letter. If you're, let's have this example. If you are inquiring for a job position, consider indicating the company and the position you wish to work for. Fourth, do not write your hobbies, interests, and marital status because the recipient company doesn't care with any of that. Instead, be straightforward to what you aim for a more clear communication. Of course, you may state your name and where you are from, just not the little details you have. Fifth, if you are sending an inquiry for information, you will list no more than 5 questions. So considering the formality in the letter, having 6 or more questions is not appropriate. Make sure that the letter and questions are not too long, too plenty, and too complicated to answer. Sixth, greet the recipient politely. In all letters, we must incorporate this rule, the rule of respect. As much as possible, make the letter respectful and formal to read by having greetings at the beginning and provide your gratitude at the end. Seventh, next slide please. Okay, so the 7 in the do's and don'ts. If you are seeking for information, include any permission you may need for quoting him or her. This also falls in the rule of respect. Quote them if you are going to use their answers. Lastly, provide your contact information like your address, email, phone number, and the things needed for the recipient to respond to your inquiry letter. So that's all for the do's and don'ts of constructing an inquiry letter. So moving on to the next slide. Okay, so let us briefly explain this sample template I have for our inquiry letter. So as you can see, the company name along with its address of the sender is located at the top center of the paper. Below it was the date when the letter was made. On the right side, we have this company name and address, but by the who the person sent, the recipient's company name and address. And continuing, we have the greetings here, says, Dear Customer Relations. So in the first paragraph of your inquiry letter, make sure to identify yourself, your position, and your institution or firm for the recipient to know who wrote the letter for him or her. In the second paragraph, briefly explain the purpose and why you are writing and for how will you for how you will use the requested information. And in the next paragraph, make sure that your question is clear and discreet. If you can recall what I have said in our do's and don'ts, the questions must be no more than 5 or no more than 5. So to conclude your letter, it is better to thank the recipient and also include your contact information to where the recipient can send his or her answers regarding your query. Can you please move to the next slide po? And so there you will see that in the last paragraph, the letter consists of, I would be happy to talk to you about the letter, about the information needed. And to end it, of course, have a formal closing and place your name with your position below, and if possible, include your signature. So that's all with what I can share in regards to writing or constructing a letter of inquiry. So remember to make your inquiry short and make it straight to the point to make it efficient. That's all with my part.
So now let us proceed to the next type of technical writing, which is a memo or a memorandum. So are you having problems or conflict with your memo writing? Do you think that you have lack of understanding of how memo should be written and composed? Well, I can help you with that and give you some tips to improve your knowledge about writing memos. So now let us proceed to the definition of a memo. Next slide, please. So a memo or memorandum is a written document that is usually used in businesses to communicate and share announcements or notifications. It is a short message that is used to communicate business matters such as business policies, announcements, and procedures occur in a company. It is intended for all the members of an organization or a department rather than a single or a personal message. Originally, a memo was used to be in written form or typed on paper and exchanged through manual mail system. But due to technology, a memo can now be sent electronically using emails or electronic mails. A memo relays information directly through what is said and indirectly in tone and in structure. Well, a memo writer can write a memo formally and informally varied through the tone and structure used. When we are writing a formal memo, the tone used in writing should be in a formal way. Specifically, when we are writing about business-inclined or organizational topics. Though an informal tone is appropriate to use when the message only addresses personal matters like the organization's planning of out-of-towns, picnics, or holiday parties like Christmas party. So now, the question is, when we will write a memo, what are the instances and occurrences that we should write a memo? So next slide, please. So when to write a memo? Initially, the main purpose of writing a memo is to inform everyone involved in the business organization, or department. Moreover, memos can also include persuasive element or commands and requests. Shown here are some purposes of writing a memo. First is informing employees about changes or adjustments in company policies and processes, providing an update on company's organization's goals, making announcement about employee promotion or new hire, and reminding employees about the tasks that need to be accomplished. We can also use memos for brief discussions of important messages that needs to be addressed within the company or organization. It includes meeting schedules, changes in policies, and many important messages. Next slide, please. So next is how to write a memo. There are a few steps to follow to create a clear and engaging memo. Writing a memo is just the same as writing professional business documents. It includes an introduction, body, and conclusion. Here are the few steps to follow in writing a memo. The first one is start with the header. The header should indicate that what you are writing is a memorandum. You should inform your reader that the agenda of your writing is to write a memo. It should also include the intended recipients, the sender of the memo, and the subject or the reason why you write the memo. Next is write an introduction. For introduction, it is important that you should provide facts, explanations, and information in announcing the main topic of your memo. The third step is include a body paragraph. Discuss the main point of your memo. Elaborate or list the main ideas included in your memo. It is better if it is written using short paragraphs and summarize the information you wanted to include to your memo. If possible, you can also use bullets and subheadings in writing your memo, since the recipients will scan it, so it would be easy for them to understand the main agenda of the memo that you write. The next step is conclude your memo. The conclusion of a memo is the summary of it, and you should clearly inform the reader of any actions required. The next one is the closing. Close your memo with your name, email address, and phone number in case anyone needs to contact you. The last one is ensure any important attachments are included. If your intended recipients will need to refer to other informations like graph or image or chart, might as well include it below the end of your memo. Next slide, please. So here are some tips that you can use for writing an effective memo. The first one is never forget to consider your audience when writing a memo. If you are writing a memo for the entire company or department or organization, use clear and concise language that is accessible for everyone. Of course, keep it professional and use a formal language since you are in an organization or in a business environment. Next tip is proofread and review before sending. Read your memo before sending and check your typos, inconsistencies, and tones. The last one is write a subject that is direct to the point and clear. Send your memo at least a week before the event or due date so people have time to adjust their plans. And also include the day of the week where the memo is intended to be accomplished. So that's it for my part. So now let us proceed to the next presenter, which is Mr. Nathaniel Yambot. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Micco. Am I audible?
Yes,
Hello.
sir.
Okay, thank you. So, but first, I want to say sorry for the unnecessary noises. So, moving on. to the next part, which is the formal email. So first, let us talk what is a formal email. So a formal email, I think, next slide, please. Okay, thank you. So a formal email is an email that uses professional language and clear formatting to begin or continue a discussion relating to a professional or otherwise important subject. So people use formal emails to signal respect when contacting someone they do not understand. Next slide, please. So why are formal emails important? So formal emails are important because they establish the proper conditions for significant discussions to take place. So how to write a formal email? Next slide, please. So here are the steps to follow if you want to send a formal email that makes a professional impression. So first, confirm your email address is professional. So whenever sending a formal email, do so from a professional email addresses. So professional email addresses can be from your educational institution or workplace, or they can be a personal email addresses that contains elements of your name with as few other symbols and numbers as possible. So especially if the recipient does not know you, they might be wary of opening emails from any unprofessional or unusual senders. A professional email address also supports the serious content of your message. So second is write your subject line. So your subject line directly states the topic of your email. It should be as brief as possible in the entitled case to appear professional. When knowing your name would help the recipient categorize or respond to the email, you might include it in your subject line. Next is use of formal salutation. Open the text of your email body with a formal salutation. Addresses the recipient by their title or honorific and last name. So here are some of the salutation you might use in creating a formal email. So dear, hello, greetings, and to whom it may concern if the recipient name is unknown. Next slide, please. And for the fourth one, introduce yourself. So here, if you have not already communicated with the recipient, introduce yourself in your first sentence. So state your name and explain your relation or relevance to the recipient. So for instance, a professor would want to know if you are writing as a student or a faculty member, and a business owner would want to know if you are a potential client or another business employee. So conclude your first paragraph with one sentence stating your reason for writing. Next is communicate your message succinctly. So your next paragraph provides additional details about why you are writing. You might provide some more information about yourself and explain what you hope to accomplish with your email. If there are any administrative details related to your communication, such as deadline, include it in this section. So ideally, this section should be 1 or 2 paragraphs in length. Next is to close with appreciation. So your final paragraph thanks your recipient for the time they took to read and consider your message. It concludes the referencing the next interaction you hope to have with the recipient. So for instance, you might simply hope to hear from them, or you might want to arrange an in-person meeting. So finally, use formal closing and sign your name providing professional contact information if appropriate. So here are some formal closing you can use. So regards, best, sincerely, yours, respectfully, and with respect. respect. Lastly, proofread and send your email. So, before hitting send, proofread your email closely. Your communication should be free of any typos or grammatical errors. So you can use a proofreading app available for free online that scans your text to ensure it is correct. So because it is technical writing, grammar is very important. Aside from technical concerns, you also benefit from revising any sentences that might be unclear or awkwardly phrased. A well-written message can help you receive the response you desire. So here's a glimpse of a sample of a formal letter, email rather. Next slide, please. Yeah, as you can see, the subject, the recipient name, and all. And that is all for my part. Thank you, and let's proceed to the next presenter.
So thank you so much, Mr. Yambot. So let us now move on to report paper. So next slide, please. But before anything else, let us first define what is a report paper. So a report is a non-fiction account that presents and summarizes the facts about a particular event, topic, or issue. The idea is that people who are unfamiliar with the subject can find everything they need to know from a good report. Reports make it easy to catch someone up to speed on a subject, but actually, writing a report is anything but easy. In technical terms, the definition of a report is pretty vague. Any account, spoken or written, of the matters concerning a particular topic. This could refer to anything from a courtroom testimony to a grade schooler's book report. So, in reality, when people talk about reports, they are usually referring to official documents outlining the facts of a topic, typically written by an expert on the subject or someone assigned to investigate it. So, moving on to the next slide. So what kind of information is shared in reports? First is details of an event or situation, the consequences or ongoing effect of an event or situation, evaluation of statistical data or analytics, interpretations from the information in the report, predictions or recommendations based on the information in the report, and how the information relates to other events or reports. So reports are closely related to essay writing, although there are some clear distinctions. While both rely on facts, essays add the personal opinion and arguments of the author. Reports typically stick only to the facts, although they may include some of the author's interpretation of these facts, most likely in the conclusion. So moreover, reports are heavily organized, commonly with tables of contents and copious headings and subheadings. This makes it easier for readers to scan reports for the information they're looking for. So essays, on the other hand, are meant to be read start to finish, not browsed for specific insight only. So next slide, please. So we have different types of report. The first one is academic report. This tests a student's comprehension of the subject matter, such as book reports, reports on historical events, and biographies. Next one is business reports. It identifies information useful in business strategy, such as marketing reports, internal memos, SWOT analysis, and feasibility reports. And the last one is, next slide please, scientific reports. So this shares research findings, such as research papers and case studies, typically in science journals. So reports can be further divided into categories based on how they are written. For example, a report could be formal or informal, short or long, and internal or external. In business, a vertical report shares information with people on different levels of the hierarchy, while a lateral report is for people on the author's same level, but in different departments. Next slide, please. So let us now move on to the structure of a report. So first is the executive summary. Just like an abstract in an academic paper, an executive summary is a standalone section that summarizes the findings in your report so readers know what to expect. These are mostly for official reports and less so for school reports. Use this section to note your conclusions and recommendations that will be made in the report. You should also include the most important ideas discussed in the report. If you're writing a daily work report or progress report, you do not need to include this section. So next one is the introduction. So setting up the body of the report, your introduction explains the overall topic that you're about to discuss, with your thesis statement and any need to know background information before you get into your own findings. Your introduction should be 2 or 4 paragraphs, summarizing what we'll cover in the report as well as your reason for writing the report. Be as specific and concise as possible when writing your introduction so that the readers can clearly understand what they will find in your report. So for daily or progress reports, your introduction only needs to be a few sentences detailing work you've completed and what plan to work on next. So next one is the body. The body of the report explains all your major discoveries. Broken up into headings and subheadings, the body makes up the majority of the entire report, whereas the introduction and conclusion are just a few paragraphs each. The body can go on for pages. In this part, you should focus on detailing the information you wish to convey. You can include results, conclusion, and findings that were made related to a project. For daily or progress reports, include the accomplishments you have achieved or tasks that you have completed. Next one, or the last part, is the conclusion. The conclusion is where you bring together all the information in your report and come to a definitive interpretation or judgment. This is usually where the author inputs their own personal opinions or inferences. Conclude your report by summarizing the findings or results discussed and reiterating the most important recommendations. So if you're familiar with how to write a research paper, you'll notice that report writing follows the same introduction, body, conclusion, structure, sometimes adding an executive summary. But reports usually have their own additional requirements as well, such as the title page and the table of contents. So moving on to the next slide. So here are the things to avoid when writing a report. First is, don't start right with the introduction. So you normally start any written project with an introduction. However, when you are writing a report, you need first to write an abstract. This is called the executive summary, and it basically sums up the contents of your report. A very good trick is to actually write your executive summary after you have written your entire report. Only when you are done writing the entire report, you are able to describe clearly and concisely what it contains. Take your time to read twice your report and come up with an abstract that is maximum of 150 words. The abstract uses clear informative language and focuses strictly on the contents of the main report. Next is writing a report without a clear structure. So many makes the mistake of writing the report without clear subheadings or chapters. Before you even start writing, you should eliminate your report and categorize it as follows: the abstract, introduction, background, method, findings, strength, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, and conclusion and recommendation. If you will follow such an outline, your report will certainly be able to write a very intelligent and useful report. So next is the grammar and stylistic mistake in recommendations. So you need to be very careful when writing the recommendations section. This is basically your proposal formulated towards the management. This is where you will show that you know what changes are needed in order to make things better. Therefore, use often power words and show confidence throughout your writings. If you are not sure that you have written a good report, you can tell the writing service company and ask the expert there to proofread and edit your document professionally. This will help you hand in your document with a higher degree of confidence. Next one is writing a report that is too short. So a very short report will only prove that you didn't spend enough time on research and analyzing the problem. So instead, make your report as long as it should take in order to detail everything nicely. So you need enough space on paper to explain each and every point. So don't rush. You also want a good feedback from the readers. So write as long as you need to explain the problem and to offer recommendation. So nobody will impose restriction regarding the length of your report. However, you need to think that you don't want your readers to get bored reading it. Try to supply a medium-length report that is very concise in argumentation. Also think of it that many refer to just skim through the main parts and they will not read every word you write. So next, things to avoid while writing a report is writing in a literary way. So a report is not an essay and it is not literature or fiction. You should definitely use highly technical language and common phrases to your industry. For example, if you write a report in the banking sector, you will need to research important financial terms and use them within your report. So readers will not be impressed if you write your report like it was a short story or some piece of literature with metaphors. Keep to the point, be concise, and use all your best industry-related terms. So the last one is excessive usage of colors and graphs. So remember, your report is not a painting, nor a piece for a drawing competition. So refrain yourself from using all the colors of the rainbow in your report. Instead, use smart graphics that have one or two colors in order to make some differentiations. So the graphics should not be too complicated, but easy and quick to understand by whomever looks at them. If you can't explain your theory in one single graph, then it is better you create several graphics, each pointing out one problem. So the entire report should have the logical flow and industry-specific language that make it a professional report. So moving on to the next slide. So let us now talk about how to write a report. So the first step you should do is identify your audience. Knowing who will be reading your report is an important step in determining how you will format your report, what to include, and the tone you should use when writing it. For example, if you are writing a sales report for your manager, will anyone else be reading the report? If you're composing a business analysis report, will your higher-ups be reading the report or only your immediate supervisor? Establish who will be reading your report and cater the report to these specific people. Next step is to decide which information you will include. So after determining who will your audience, you should focus on identifying the purpose of your report to decide what information should be included. If you know who will be reading the report, you could ask questions regarding what they expect to see. Choose to include information that will provide the clearest picture of what you are trying to convey. For example, if you're writing a sales report, your report may need to include information about whether sales goals are being met and products and services that are selling the most challenges and your team or the challenges that your team are facing and your sales forecast for the next month or quarter. So the next step is structure your report. When writing a report, you should structure it so that it can be easily read and digested. While each report will vary in the sections, you should include you can include title or title pages, executive summary, table of contents if needed, an introduction, a body, and a conclusion or recommendation. Next step is use concise and professional language. You should strive to use clear and concise language when writing your report. Try to get to point across as clearly and quickly as possible And use simple yet professional language. Avoid using fluff or wordy sentences when possible. For example, rather than saying, you might find it helpful to regularly refresh your inbox to stay up to date on emails, you could say, regularly refresh your inbox. So, the last step you should do when writing a report paper is to proofread and edit your reports. So, proofreading your report is an essential step in the report writing process. This gives you the opportunity to ensure your writing is as professional as possible and to catch any mistake before you send it out. And proofreading also allows you to cut out any unnecessary information and make sure your report is as efficient and effective as possible. Once you have finished writing your report, set it aside for an hour or more before you proofread it. This will allow you to look at the report in a fresh way and catch mistakes you may not have seen before. So that would be all for my part. Let us now move on to the next presenter.
Mga girl, hindi na ako pinapansin ni Mark. Paano ba naman kasi? Ang dry na ng hair ko. Ako din, hindi mo lang pinapansin ni Al. Ang dahil ko na kasing dandruff. Ang crazy ng hair ko. Kahiya tuloy kay Paul. So, GRRRRRRRF! Girls, I think we did magic to fix this. Pagod ka na ba sa pang-araw-araw na pagkamot ng iyong ulo? Narito na ang life hacks para sa'yo. Bumili na ng Sana shampoo para kamot no more. Dahil sa Sana, alaga ka. I got the Sana in me.
Kaya ngayon ang hair ko super silky and free.
Everyone should know I got the magic in me.
Dati ang hair ko is super shiny and sneaky. Everyone should know I got the sun. I got the sun in me.
Thank you so much, Miss Macaday. Now, let's proceed to the job searching. Next slide, please. So first, what is job searching? So job hunting, job seeking, or job searching refers to systematic activity where participants are expected to actively seek employment by locating employment openings, submitting applications, and attending employment interviews. So although the meaning of job searching is not that important to our main goal today, technical writing plays a critical role in job searching. Next slide, please. So technical writing is always present in the workplace. So high levels of communication effectiveness are facilitated by strong writing skills. They link the company's different stakeholders, partners, clients, and employees. Since technical writers are important in the workplace, it is not that surprising that the higher technical writing skills have more potential in job searching. So, what are the application of the technical writing in the job search? Next slide, please. There you go. So creating a good self-portfolio, as what you see on your screen right now, as a technical writer, you should be skilled enough to write your own profile. This may help you to attract the employer just by looking at your portfolio. So if you're going to follow the basic presentation of portfolio or the basic in presenting yourself, then what makes you more unique than the other job hunters, right? Next is presenting good proposal papers and writing strong technical marketing materials. So in this way, you will be able to apply your skill as a technical writer, and that may be a good point to have the job. Of course, in doing so, the employer may see your potential in writing technical papers that may benefit them if they hire you. Next is writing request form. So technical writing can be applied in writing forms as well as the other examples, such as sending good application letters via mail or email. So if you listen to Miss Pacurib's report, she tackled the do's and don'ts in writing inquiry letter. Also in the report of, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Nathaniel Yambot, where he explains the writing of email. So I won't elaborate this much, but of course, let me point it out again, the use of technical writing in making request forms or writing different kinds of email. Technical writing is very important in writing an email or forms. So that the letter must be written concisely and straight to the point for the receiver of the mail to understand what the message you're trying to convey. So another application of technical writing in the job searching is of course, understanding and integrating technical terms. So some agency or organization or employers you wish to work with may test your capability of understanding towards the technical terms that is needed to the job. So writing or including it in your presentation can be a plus point for you. So these are the application of technical writing in the job searching. Next slide, please. So however, what are the possible advantages of acquiring technical writing skills in the job searching? So here are some of the advantages. First is the higher possibility of getting hired. Obviously, employers, organization, or agency want someone who is efficient and a very good skilled writer to fulfill the job, right? They won't waste their time for someone who don't have the potential to write and understand the needed documents. Next is develop professionalism. So writing, technical writing may expand your vocabulary. In this way, you can write email, letters, inquiries, report, make a brochure that uses technical words in a more effective and professional way. So of course, you can use words that are weak or not that deep in writing technical paper. So high quality, well-versed documents and manuals reflects on your writing. Next is you will be an effective and efficient communicator. So technical writing helps you to have a better understanding to what is the information is all about. Therefore, you will be able to practice your communication skills, not only by writing emails, but also in a discourse or presenting your report or by communicating with your employer or other coworker. Next is the credibility. Since you are already familiar with technical terms, this will make your documents more credible. Since you already know the words, the terms that are needed for the job, then this will make your reports or the letters more credible. Last is the writing skill. It was mentioned a lot earlier in my report or in others' report that in acquiring technical writing, you should be a skilled writer. So in order to get what you want or your desired job, you need to practice more in writing. So you should practice your technical writing. So your ability to write clearly and effectively in a technical and scientific context will make you stand out in any workplace and job searching. So employers are paying more attention to applicants and current employees' writing abilities. When you apply for a job and whenever you are under consideration for a promotion, of course, your writing abilities will be scrutinized. That is how technical writing is very important in the job searching. That's all for my part. Let's now move on to the next reporter. Thank you so much and have a blessed day.
So thank you, Ms. Parica, for a very comprehensive discussion. So now let us move on to another topic that we have, which is instructions. So what is instructions? So instructions is simply the act of educating, giving the steps that must be followed or an order. So take note that no instructions leads to confusion. So what are the things that we should consider in creating instructions? So we have here is three important things that we need to remember in creating instructions. So first one is we need to be clear. And another one is we need to be precise. And lastly, we need to be simple or simple writing. So we need to make our instructions clear because that is where your readers would follow it. So it needs to be clear to make it more understandable. So second one is we need to be precise. So precise is actually affiliated with clearness. And because if our instruction were precise, so it understood that it leads to clarity. So the next one is we need to make our instructions simple as much as possible because instruction is not like any other form of writing where you will use deep words. You need to be more specific about the terminologies that you will use because it makes your instruction more clearly or effective. Okay, so like what mentioned here is simplicity is equal to clarity. Okay, so how to make instructions simple and effective? So first one is you need to put important messages at the start. So to make instructions more effective, we need to be direct to the point or straight to the point. So we don't need to make our readers, our instructions rather, to complex like a shotgun shells that goes on different directions. And the second tips that we need to be remember or we need to be consider is use short and simple words. So to make your instructions more effective, you need to be mindful about the terminologies like I said earlier that you will use because sometimes the more complex words that you input to your instructions, the higher chances of confusion. So the next one is write short sentences. So instruction is not the same form of writing like essay or poem that contains a significant amount of words. So instruction is meant to be short, so keep it that way. Okay. And number 4 is put one step in one sentence. And another one is divide your instructions into small chunks and make it step-by-step instructions. So another tips that we need to be remember in creating instruction is avoid abbreviations because and if you use it or use them rather, explain them. So another one that we need to be mindful is the redundancy of words. So we need to be concise. And lastly, use the active voice and never use the passive voice. So why is it so necessary to use active voice in instructions? So using active voice for the majority of your sentences make your meaning clear for readers and keep the sentences from becoming too complicated or wordy. So that is the end of my topic. So for the continuation of our discussion, that will be Miss Julia Tapoc to present web pages in technical writing. So unfortunately, due to some issues, she wasn't able to present it live. So don't worry, we had her video. So video presentation rather. And now let us pay attention about her discussion. Thank you.
Hello, I am Julia and today I will be discussing web page and PowerPoint. What is web page? A web page is a document for the World Wide Web that is identified by a unique uniform resource locator. It can be accessed and displayed on a monitor or mobile device through a web browser. The web pages usually also contain other resources such as style sheets, scripts, and images for presentation. Users may be able to navigate to other pages through hypertext links. A web page is a representation of a document that is actually located at a remote site. The information on the web page is displayed online with the help of a web browser such as Internet Explorer, Mozilla Firefox, or Google Chrome. Every web page corresponds to various types of information presented to the visitor in a visual and readable manner. A web page may contain text, graphics, and hyperlinks to other web pages and files. A web page is often used to provide information to viewers, including pictures or videos to help illustrate important topics. It may also be used as a method to sell products or services to viewers. Here are the elements of a web page. Every web page is different. However, most pages contain some or all of the elements contained on this web page. 1. The website, blog name, logo, or company name is often in the top left corner of each web page. The logo may also include a slogan or a brief statement about the site to give visitors an instant understanding of the site. Also, this section of the web page is a link that may link back to the homepage. 2. The search allows a visitor to search a website for related information and should be available on every web page. 3. The navigation bar or menu for a web page is often found at the top or left side of each web page. It should include links to each of the major sections of the website. 4. Advertisement banners can be shown in different places on a web page and help pay for the expenses of running a website and company. Ad banners are often found at the top, left, right, or bottom of a page and may also be included in the content. 5. Social share links allow visitors to share your site with other coworkers, friends, and family on social networking sites. 6. The breadcrumbs helps the user know where they are on the website. They also provide a way for the user to return to or explore other main sections of the website. 7. The heading should be included on the top of every web page and should be created using the HTML tag. 8. The opening paragraph is one of the most important paragraphs on the web page and should help draw the visitor into reading the web page. One way to help draw the visitor's eyes is to include a hero image near the opening paragraph. 9. Each web page should be broken up into other headings that allow the visitors to easily skim and find what is the most interesting on the page. 10. Having a method of allowing a visitor to provide feedback is also a requirement for most web pages. Giving the visitor links or buttons to click for feedback is a good step to let you know if a web page is helpful or not. 11. Additional information and tools such as a button to print the page can also be helpful for users on most web pages. 12. The footer should include any other important company or website information and be included on all web pages to help the visitor continue using the site. 13. The copyright and any legal or privacy notice should also be in all web pages. Not only can this link to relevant legal information, it is an indication for most visitors that they have reached the end of the web page. 14. Finally, a back to the top button or a link at the bottom of the page helps the visitor to return to the menu links or other tools. Now, let's proceed to PowerPoint. What is PowerPoint? PowerPoint is a piece of Microsoft's Office suite that is commonly used in a variety of ways by business, education, and government employees to provide a computerized slideshow for enhancing a presentation. PowerPoint might be employed to direct attention to an outline of the presentation, or to display graphs and pictures, or to focus the audience on key points. PowerPoint is a software for editing presentations. Through slides, you can present the content you want, adapting it to your liking. There is no limit to creating a PowerPoint template. You can use and edit images, text, music, and add animations and much more. Being creative with PowerPoint is very easy, as the design options are practically endless. How PowerPoint functions. Before digital presentations, it was common for presenters to use note cards or an outline to organize a presentation. PowerPoint enables presenters to display the major points about which they are talking while giving the presentation. This not only keeps the presenter on track, but keeps the audience focused on the point under discussion. Although entirely digital, the output in PowerPoint functions like traditional slides, allowing the presenter to display information on a screen. The slides may contain words, images, graphs, or even movies. They can be organized to flow from one point to the next, or to display key information at the appropriate times. PowerPoint allows users to include images, pictures, movies, or graphs in the presentations they are making. Photographs, video clips, and audio clips can also be incorporated to create a more engaging presentation.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Symon C, and now I'm going to be discussing brochure and flyers. So next page, please. So what is brochure? A brochure is a great piece of marketing material that provides potential customers with something tangible in a digital world. A brochure can do multiple things. First is it can introduce your company to potential prospects. It can explain products in a more detail or offer a sampling of numerous products to entice a customer. By creating a brochure with concise and engaging content from copy to pictures, you can boost sales and engage customers. But not all brochures can lead to a boost in sale. Sometimes there are several things to consider in writing a brochure, and it will be divided into three parts, namely the topic, layout, and the content. These three work together to enable a business or an organization to be known in a certain field. Next page, please. Okay, so first thing is narrowing down your topic. And under narrowing down your topic is you have to be specific. When writing a brochure, be specific with what you are selling. Do not try to cover too many topics in one brochure. For example, you are tasked to create a brochure about a skincare product. For example, a toner. So that will be your main product. You don't have to include serum, you don't have to include foundation or other product that should not be there in that brochure, because you have to remember that you should have one brochure for each product or service. The more brochure, the better. So you can really specify all of the relevant information in that one brochure. So be specific. Number 2 is to put yourself in your reader's shoe. So the key here is that sometimes you have to pretend that you've come across your own brochure. Sometimes you have to ask yourself, what do I want to see in a brochure? Do I want it to be do I want it to be creative? Do I want it to be colorful? Do I want to be do I want it to be simple but precise? Because once in our life, we're all consumers and we all have different standards. And if we can incorporate our standards into our own brochure, then it will be better. So third is to stress the benefits of your product. Instead of just providing an overview of the basic features, you want to focus on a specific topic that lets you get detailed. So this is actually the key in making a brochure. You have to stress your benefits. You have to remember, guys, that when creating a brochure, in creating or specifying the benefits, even the imitation products, they have their own benefits. I'm gonna give an example. For example, you've come across a fake foundation, okay? And then in that foundation, they have a benefit. Like for example, with using this foundation, it can blur out your pores, it can even your skin tone and everything and every that. But you know, it's an imitation product, so it's not as good as the real one. But since they provide benefits, people actually buy it. So even though they are using misleading benefits, you know, it gained them income. It works. So you have to remember that including the benefit in your brochure is the highlight of it. So even the imitation products, they have their own benefits, so why not include your own? But you have to make sure that when you are giving benefit, it should be factual. Okay, so fourth one is to exclude any information that is not relevant. This one is self-explanatory because you cannot put everything in your brochure because it is not as big as a billboard. It's just a piece of paper. So if it's not relevant, exclude it. So next page. So the third page is setting up a layout. So first is choose a layout. The most common is the trifold brochure. However, you should be free to choose a different layout depending on the information you are providing. In a typical trifold brochure, a piece of landscape paper is actually divided into 6 sections. Section 3, Section 2, and the Section 4 are the inside section and usually contain the most valuable information. Section 2 is the inside flap and it usually contains broad information with question and answer. Section 3 and 4, it typically expands and go deeper. These sections explain the information, affirming the reader that a solution is contained within your brochure. Section 1 is the front cover, of course. Section 5 is the back flap and usually contains testimonials and coupons. Section 6, which is actually the middle back third, and it contains contact information like phone number, websites, or a map. The next one is to capitalize on your real estate. So what do we mean by real estate? The key here is that you have to find a balance between words and picture, because your brochure is not a photo album that contains a lot of pictures, and it is also not a newspaper that contains a lot of text. So there should always be a balance. And they say that it works better when you put picture in your front page. In your front page. Third is to use the front cover or panel to entice readers. So just like what I have said, an eye-catching photo or graphic is more effective than a bunch of text. To better identify the product, for example, your brochure will be about a phone. So you need to add a picture of a phone there. For example, it's a newest iPhone 13. So when they open a brochure, all the information will be about that phone, like what are the specification, like that. So the front panel usually indicates what is inside of the brochure. The fourth one is to break off information into sections. So there are actually 6 sections depending, but it always depends on your liking. If you think 3 sections is enough to all the valuable information, then it's okay. Do not go further. You don't have to fit everything on that 6 sections. So next page. So the fourth page is creating the content. So number 1 is speak directly to your readers. So this one is what you want to address or to sell should be included. So if it's about a foaming cleanser, for example, if it's about a phone, then you need to speak to them directly. You need to include everything related or relevant to that specific product. The second is to keep your brochure content focused. You have to always be brief with your content. The simple, the better, but make sure that it is concise. The third one is use testimonials. So use testimonial meaning get quotes from satisfied customers to include in a brochure. For example, I will be establishing my own brand and I want to create, for example, a lip product, for example. And then I want to make a brochure like that. So for example, Kylie Jenner used my lip
product. So, it will be better because a lot of people idolize Kylie Jenner, right? So if they think that, oh, Kylie Jenner used my product, maybe I need to buy that one because maybe I will look like her. So, it will not just be the gain of the business in terms of money, but also for popularity to make it more mainstream. Okay, so the fourth one is to end the brochure with a call to action. So this one is, it will now direct the reader into the next step. And what do you think is the next step? So the next step, that's why they have here call to action. They will now contact you. Maybe they're now interested, or they want to franchise your business, for example, or they have a lot of questions which are not included in your brochure. So that is the right time to ask. So you may want to include a phone number, a map, or an email address. Next, moving forward, now we have flyers. Okay, so next page. What is flyers? So the flyer is an important promotional tool, one used by many businesses from startups to global corporations. With the right content presented well, it can be the tool that makes your business or product or service stand out, or it can sink without a trace, barely being noticed by your target audience. Writing an effective flyer takes practice as well as an appreciation of some of the finer skills in presenting information in an eye-catching way. So next page, please. So here we have what to know when writing or creating a flyer. First is to have a catchy headline. So unlike a brochure with different sections or fold, flyers take up whole pieces of paper with different cutouts only. So like in the news, headlines should entice your audience to read more of your business. So you can state there that, for example, you have a product, or you have a certain product and you want it to have a catchy headline. So you may want to use, like, for example, join now and get a free scholarship. Buy one, get three. Pre-order now and get 10,000 worth of freebies. So if they see that catchy headline, they will, of course, it will lead to their curiosity that, okay, I will read more of that flyer. Like that. So that's the benefit of having a catchy headline. The second one is make the benefits very obvious. So I have said this a while ago that you need to stress the benefits because every product has its own benefits. So there is no point in excluding it. Third one is proofread. So proofreading, we've come across this to other reports a while ago. What do you think is the reason? We always see proofreading. So we always see proofreading because, this is a technical writing. So there will be a lot of errors. There will be a lot of erroneous parts. So we also have a lot of jobs. And by proofreading, we can now see what are the errors, like in alignment, sometimes in spelling or grammar, because creating flyers is a long process and it is a laborious job. So proofreading will really make your flyer more valuable. Fourth one is to call to action. So phone number, email, or anything that people can use to contact you. I also discussed it a while ago. Fifth one is to know your audience. Sometimes you have to depend your style on your audience. For example, your target audience are adults. So you don't want to create a brochure that has puka, in your design, that has, for example, Darna in it, because they're not interested in that. If your target audience are more, if they are adults, they want something that is minimalistic, simple, but concise. But if your target audience are children, of course you have to make the most out of it. Be creative as you can. So that's the essence of knowing your audience. You have to depend your style. The sixth one is relevant information. So customers don't need a life story of a product of the event. They just want relevant information. So if the craft, for example, you create a flyer and then you should state there, for example, that the fair or the meeting will start at 2 p.m. on Sunday at the 28th of August. You have to tell people because they will only read it once. So you have to make sure that all of the relevant information about the next steps to your business will be included there. The last one would be legible fonts. Okay, so and finally, after a lot of hard works, figuring out call to action, relevant information, know your audience, proofreading, putting them in the right order will be lost if you don't know how to choose legible fonts. Everything now is in your hand. You have the power to choose what font you would want, but you have to make sure that it is readable and it has a balance and contrast. Sometimes you have to use separate fonts for the title. You need to also for title, subheading, the heading, the description. For emphasis, you may use at least 2 to 3 fonts, but will not be greater than 5. Remember, just like what Agnes said, it is a flyer, for example. It's a flyer that you are making. It's not a poster one. You will not join a calligraphy contest just to include a lot of fonts as you can. Over is not okay. You just have to keep it simple, but with impact. So that's all for my report, and let us all welcome the next presenter.
So hello everyone. Thank you Mr. Sta Romana for the fine presentation. This time we will talk about newsletters. So our inboxes overflow with offers, different offers, promotions, and many email newsletters. So as a creator, your job is to write an enjoyable email for your readers to read and encourage them to stick around and eventually convert. So before writing your newsletter, it's important to know what goes into a well-written email or newsletter in general. But in this part, we are only focusing on writing newsletters by email. So more specifically, there are 5 core elements that every successful email needs. Number 1, as shown in our presentation, is the subject line. Your subject line is going to be the very first thing that your subscribers see. So make sure your subject line is honest yet intriguing. Number 2 is the preview text. The preview text is the small snippet that appears right after the subject line. And that's one of the most overlooked aspects of email copywriting. So be sure that your preview text stands out. Number 3 is your body copy. Email newsletters between 75 to 125 words are said to receive the highest response rate. But I recommend you to experiment, then use your body copy to tell a story, educate, or share behind the scenes. Then for number 4 is call to action, is what Symon said previously on his report. Your CTA or call to action will tell your readers what you want them to do after reading your email. So the clearer your CTA is, the more likely you are going to boost those conversions. And number 5 is your email signature, or signature in general. What you choose as your email signature is entirely up to you. So as an email content creator, and no matter what you choose, you can make it work by sassing your brand personality by using your email signature. Now, let's go ahead and run through the 9 email copywriting best practices for those engaging newsletters. Next page, please. So, 8 email copywriting best practices for those engaging newsletters. 1, make sure you write with a distinct and memorable brand voice. Understand the basics of conversion copywriting. So you learn the basics of conversion copywriting. Next is make your writing relevant and personal. Make sure that you use you to keep your writing personal. The next slide, please. Focus on the benefits before the features. Tell a story. Use sales psychology. And lastly, don't forget to edit your email newsletter of yours. Alright, you know now the 5 core elements that every successful email needs. You understand the 8 email copywriting best practices to implement in your newsletter. Now it is time to put it all into action. So let's go ahead and transition it to a quick demo using ConvertKit, showing you how to create your very own newsletter. So let's watch this short demo I prepare for you. Emails for your newsletter. So let's begin by building a landing page to accomplish this. Choose the newsletter category option on the left-hand side to get access to the landing page template specifically built for creating a newsletter. From there, choose the template you'd like to use. Next, customize your landing page. Name your landing page at the top left. Give it a strong headline, a subtitle, and a high-quality image. And add additional content pieces to make your landing page stand out even more. You can add more newsletter fields. Feel free to also customize the display, order, and the text color too. To enable your newsletter feed to appear on your landing page as we adjusted here, all you need to do is to click on the broadcast page, then from the sidebar, click the toggle next to enable a public feed. Then, when you are done creating your newsletter landing page, click Save and Publish, and head to Share so you can begin sharing your landing page to attract subscribers to your newsletter. Now comes the time to actually send out your newsletter to those newfound subscribers. First, you want to create a newsletter template. Head to the drop-down menu in the upper right corner and click Email Templates. Then, click Email Template or New Email Template. From here, choose the template that you prefer to use on a consistent basis. Next, you'll start customizing what you want this template to look like. In this case, we'll give it the template a name, a headline, which is the name of our newsletter, a subtitle, a branded background color, a link color, and the button color as well. When you are done customizing your template, click Save. Then head to the broadcast, then click New Broadcast to send out your newsletter. From here, choose who you want to receive this newsletter. You have the option to choose all subscribers or filter a filter group. When you're done specifying, click Next from here. Choose the newsletter template you just created. There. Then start writing your email. Give it a subject line and write the content that you'd like to go inside this email. When you are done writing your email, click Save, Next Step, and then you can send your newsletter immediately to your subscribers or schedule it to automatically send for you on a specific date, time, and even a minute. And that's how you can easily create and send your newsletter. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation. So this is the actual way on creating a newsletter.
So, okay, let us now proceed to the next topic that we are going to tackle as the group assignment takes in. So next slide, please. So what is collaborative writing? So first of all, collaborating writing that entails the collaborative effort of a group of people who gather together to write document, produce image, provide subtext, and more in an effort to bring a project to a completion. So collaborative involves a mindset that sees a whole as an important than its part. In other words, when people decide to collaborate, they are deciding to set aside their individual goals for the good of the group they are presenting. And the collaboration seeks to combine multiple skill sets, knowledge bases, ideas, and engagement from a number of people for a sole purpose of accomplishing a goal that benefits all regardless of position or title. That's why a collaborative mindset is focused on a group success more than its individual successes. So, so what is the purpose of a collaborative writing? Next slide, please. So to know the purpose of collaborative writing, the purpose of it is for a group or team or a group writing tends to focus on gathering together for a period of time to accomplish a set of goals for a certain project during a specific time event. So the main goal of collaborative writing is to produce the best work, which is they want to do is to conclude with the very best work of the collaborative skills or talents that they put into the activity to make the company by including the ideas and skill sets of a multiple authors. So next slide, please. So what is the key for a successful collaboration? So the first one we have here is to establish a clear objective and task. So so just as individual writing, team writing must employ a clear objectives. Collaborative work is a lot more difficult than writing in solo because in collaborative work, multiple individuals are trying to share ideas that might hinder or conflict with one another ideas. That's why a clear objective must be established as it will serve as a goal or the end result that the team aims to achieve collectively. And just to keep in mind, a clear goals objective serves as a sort of a lighthouse that can be seen from a distance to help and guide the members to a safe harbors or to guide the members to a successful end result. And another thing is each member of the team should know from the start what is expected of her. She should know her specific part and the connection of that part to the task and roles of the other team members. Each member should see her role as important to deeply collaborate with everyone within the group. And next to that is to conduct an effective meetings. So this is another strategy for successful collaboration because it is the ability to conduct effective meetings that allows member to comfortably share their views and expertise. Even if the team works on face-to-face, synchronous, or asynchronous mode, establishing group interaction is important to get to know each other, and being able to do so is often possible on the ability of the team to employ careful listening skills versus just allowing a member to speak where the team members just hear what is being shared. And next to that is a set a project schedule. So a successful collaboration is also depend upon setting a project schedule. In today's technological world, there's an abundance of tools that enables teams to successfully achieve their end result by having a clear view of what is needed and when. with the use of a synchronous tool such as Zoom meetings like this one, Google Meet, or Facebook Messenger call. Everyone on the team can monitor their collective process and how it goes in each and every one. So next to that is to keep them honest. So maintaining a sense of ethical responsibility towards the project as a team member is not the only important, but it is required for the success of the project. Ethical concept allows us to know our stand in every interaction, which is why it is important to consider these standards that are helpful to consider in collaborative situations. Knowing each member their rights would provide them equal and unity to the whole collaboration, and care for one another is necessary to aid each other, because it is important to conquer all the hindrance along the way of the assignment of or the collaborative activity that they are trying to accomplish. So let us now proceed to how a successful collaborative writing looks like. Next slide, please. So first on the list, collaborative writing creates a more enjoyable work environment. So because members of the team share the responsibility of the project or writing, they must communicate verbally, electronically, and in some instances, they must communicate virtually. These interactions often work to improve and foster a positive atmosphere, producing a workspace that adds to the overall good of the group. And next to that is collaborative writing fosters engagement through active learning. It can be seen when a group member writes collaboratively. They put themselves in a position to either learn from or hone their dormant skills as they work with other group mates who may be more adept at a certain skill than they are. And next to that is collaborative writing helps to grow the organization. So when all the members of the team see their contribution as not just important but imperative to the success of the project, they contribute as an owner rather than a worker. Ultimately affecting the bottom line success result and seeing it grow great. It contributes to the group solidity. And lastly, we have here is collaborative writing produce a superior product or outcome. So when collaborative work is performed correctly, the end result of the project will be superior to anything produced outside the collaborative zone, because the most advanced skills will have been utilized, and because of the members of the team will have been drawn to their commitment to the end result, or to what they are trying to achieve at the end, for the good of not just themselves but for the good of the entire group. And let us now proceed to the group assignment. Next slide, please. So here in the group assignment, this is the technical writing activities or project that a group could conclude or could make in a short period of time, or whatever instruction that they are trying to do so. So first we have here is to write a technical report. Next to that is a instructional set. Next to that is I'm sorry, there's a technical na double. But lastly, we have here is to write a website. So that concludes my presentation. So to formally end our presentation, let us call Miss Pallanan to formally end our presentation.
Thank you very much, everyone. That wraps up our webinar, and we hope that you've enjoyed watching our video up to the very end. So we hope that more than acquiring learning from each present, also enjoyed and reflect on each lesson that we have imparted. Padayon, and we hope that we ignite the heart of the writer within you. Thank you very much. Remember to make your mark count and use your ink wisely. That would be all, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Next Generation of Writers, for providing a live broadcast to the Filipino people. It's really our pleasure to have you here at G News. This English bootcamp will be a big help to everybody.
It has been a great day filled with skills relevant to writing. It is expected that this seminar will help Filipinos to unleash their inner power in technical writing. Again, this is Symon C.
This has been Kate Samson bringing you the latest news around the globe. News with no bias, news with no exception, delivering nothing but the truth. This is G News.